In a breaking update, what we're getting to know when it comes to Albert Bourla, who is the chief executive officer of the American pharmaceutical giant Pfizer, who is in Davos for the World Economic Forum, was confronted when it comes to the company's vaccine against COVID, and several questions that were put against him about the vaccine, but the Pfizer CEO chose to ignore them. And this is something that has also been raised by the Indian side with regard to the kind of interaction that has been witnessed by Rajiv Chandrasekhar, where he goes on to say that just to remind all Indians that Pfizer tried to bully the government of India into accepting conditions of indemnity. And the Congress trio of Rahul Chittambaram and Jairam Ramesh kept putting a case of foreign vaccines during COVID. So that is the issue that is now being raised as far as Mr. Chandrasekhar now taking to Twitter as far as the 6-minute video of what is concerned of these journalists confronting Mr. Albert Bourla, and especially when it comes to the questions that have been put forth, the Pfizer CEO, where if he had any information about the vaccines, that if they did not stop any transmission, and how long did he know that before saying that publicly. Let me go across to Madhav right now. Madhav, what is the support stand that is coming in from the government of India regarding as far as the Pfizer vaccine is concerned in a bid to try to bully India and the government of India in a bid to purchase them?
Ultimately, we know that what was happening when it came to Pfizer, yes, there was an issue as far as vaccines are concerned, and opposition parties and political leaders say that it is the shortage of vaccines, the inability of the government to order vaccines in time or foresee the requirement of the country when it comes to vaccines that had necessitated them to put pressure on the government, or rather raise questions as far as the government is concerned when it comes to the vaccines and its availability is concerned. And it's that light that they had questioned the government's inability to deal with Pfizer. At that time also, the government had come out and said that Pfizer wanted an indemnity clause which would completely indemnify them in case of any kind of eventuality is concerned, and that's something that the government was not ready to accept. All other terms and conditions were pretty much accepted by the government. Now, the government had come out in the past to say that that was, at least sources in the government had come out to say that that was really the issue that finally sort of broke down talks between Pfizer and the government is concerned for supply of those vaccines. But now a lot of time has passed since then, and now very clearly Rajiv Chandrasekhar choosing to target the Congress leaders who had at that point of time tweeted and spoken out on this entire issue, saying that while in fact the government did not want to let Pfizer go away on the grounds of indemnity, now of course what do the Congress leaders who at that point of time were putting pressure on the government to take the Pfizer vaccine is concerned, what do they have to say? So that's the question coming in from the Union Minister of Technology of IT, and certainly very, very important questions that are being raised. No response yet coming in from the Congress leaders. We will of course await a response from them, but certainly an extremely controversial statement coming in. We will have to see what the responses are coming in from the Congress and how really they will be able to defend the position that they have taken, given that there's so much of international outcry now as far as the Pfizer vaccine and in fact processes that were short-circuited, issues in relation to the vaccine and whether it's really a safe vaccine for people to take that are now coming out in the public domain. So in the backdrop of that, certainly a very important comment coming in from the Union Minister.
Absolutely, because Madhav, this entire interaction and the confrontation is a must-watch. In fact, also to question when it comes to the naysayers, in particular the opposition parties, how they kept creating a vaccine hesitancy, that too about Indian-made vaccines, and some of them had also gone out to call it a BJP vaccine. Let me go across also to Pranesh joining in at this point, because the question that has now been raised, Pranesh, is will the opposition now apologize and tell us about the particular deal in what Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar seems to be raising about the naysayers regarding the Pfizer vaccine?
Let's begin by saying, Amita, and our viewers would remember this, that there was a sustained campaign launched by the ecosystem to discredit the Indian vaccines or the Make in India or Atmanirbhar effort when India or the world was fighting the COVID pandemic. You would remember the stand of the company Pfizer. It had said that we want indemnity, something that the government of India had opposed tooth and nail, and rightly so, because here is a company who is ready to supply COVID vaccines, but they are saying that if something happens to the patients, if after you administer our vaccines, if they die, don't hold us responsible. Now, does it work this way? It does not. We are talking about human lives, precious lives. So it started like that, and then you had leaders of the opposition, including Rahul Gandhi, putting pressure on the government and basically giving a clean chit to the Pfizer without perhaps doing its due diligence, because now the Pfizer CEO himself, the company boss, does not have any answer. He was asked this repeatedly. All he says in this confrontation interaction, call it what you want to, is okay, thank you, have a nice day.
Right.
No, have a nice day at the cost of Indian public.
Well,
Now the government is
will
saying,
those
and
opposition parties be held accountable there? Pranesh, interrupting you, I'm told that Dr. Sanjeev Bagai has been waiting patiently on the phone line. Sir, good afternoon to you. This confrontation, this interaction, what do you make of the Pfizer boss not giving any answers? Because straightforward questions were put to him, especially when it comes to apologizing to the world and whether he would refund the countries that had borrowed money into a vaccine that apparently doesn't work.
Hi, good afternoon. So 3 quick points. I think we need to differentiate science from the noise. What the science states is that the mRNA vaccines, although they have caused a given amount of side effects or adverse reactions, but the vaccines overall internationally have worked and have saved lives. To put facts on the table, the vaccines are protective 9 times to prevent infections and almost up to 11 to 13 times to prevent severe disease and death. Now, with regards to the Indian vaccines, from the very beginning, right at the inception of the pandemic, when we did one of the first few shows on Times Now, I have mentioned that the adenovector-based vaccine platforms are one amongst the safest. They have been time-tested and they will work very well, which they indeed have. India has perhaps the lowest death rate in the pandemic. Every life is valuable, but in pandemic, these kind of deaths are inevitable to happen when you see an avalanche of infections, are perhaps the lowest in the world. The Indian vaccine...
Bagai, trying to make business out of people's death and misery, sir. What do you say about such companies? I mean, putting an indemnity clause, if something untowards happen, the company will not be held responsible under Indian laws, sir, to get away easy and to also earn a profit. What do you say to that?
So the third point is with regards to the accountability of any vaccine manufacturer. The vaccine manufacturers have to be held accountable. Any pharmaceutical or vaccine manufacturing company have to be made accountable. A lot of the opposition leaders at that point of time had said that the Indian vaccines contain calf serum, pig serum, and all kinds of jargon, which was completely untrue, and it was only an effort to derail the vaccine program. The Pfizer and the Moderna, both of them have to be accountable for the products they have launched in the market.
Right, sir. Dr. Bagai, thank you very much for your insights, sir.